Hello, welcome to our video series on frequently used PDL functions in PolyAnalyst. In this video, we'll be going over the macro function and the var function. The macro and var functions are used for invoking macros or variables in SRL or PDL. Macros or variables are used for condensing long chunks of code for improving the overall readability of that code. Also, in cases where a chunk of code is going to be used repeatedly, using macros and variables makes it easier to maintain and edit these. The SRL PDL macros and variables may be set at either the project level or at the user level. Project level macros and variables can be used only within those specific projects. User level macros and variables may be used by a user in any project that the user is working on. For creating or editing macros and variables, click on the Settings menu and select the User Settings option. Then, in the User Settings tab, you'll notice a collection of macros in the SRL PDL macros item and a collection of variables in the SRL PDL variables item. A similar menu is in the Project Settings tab as well. Now, the principal difference between macros and variables is that macros are substitutes for combinations of functions, whereas variables are substitutes for collections of words or phrases. This means that macros may take arguments and variables don't take arguments. Let's look at an example. In this example here, we define a macro named collision. This macro takes two arguments, object 1 and object 2. And this is the macro expression. It is a PDL expression where the terms object 1 and object 2 act as placeholders for the arguments which will be passed when this macro is called. For example, suppose we wish to match records where an accident between the insured and the claimant is mentioned. We can do this by using this macro here. So in this expression, we use the function macro, where the first term in the function is the name of the macro getting called, in this case, collision. And the remaining terms are the arguments which will be passed in this macro in order. The first argument, insured, will be passed as object 1 to the macro expression and then plugged in its place. And the second argument, claimant, will be passed as object 2. As a result, the expression on the right here gets substituted in place of the expression on the left. Now, as mentioned earlier, variables are substitutes for collections of words or phrases. So variables do not take arguments. So here we've defined a variable that lists objects which are frequently used in vehicle accidents. The variable name is collision object. The expression contained in the variable value will then be plugged in whenever this variable is called. Notably, when functions are used in the variable value expression, like you see here in this example, they are fully actualized, meaning that no abstract arguments are passed. Now, the expression here for calling a variable is var, followed by the name of the variable you want to call, enclosed in parentheses. Thus, when the variable is called, the expression on the right here gets substituted in place of the expression on the left. Thanks for watching this video on the macro function and the var function. To learn about other PolyAnalyst functions, please check out our other tutorial videos.